Hey, friends, and welcome back to the Modern Moms Roadmap to Balance podcast. I'm your host, Kayla Nettleton, and today's episode is such a good one, especially if you've ever found yourself stuck in the pressure of having to do everything perfectly. Maybe you've been carrying guilt around food, your body, or just feeling like you're constantly falling short as a mom or a partner. And I just want to say this up front. So much of what we've learned about food, body image, and even self care has been shaped by outside voices and unrealistic expectations. But real self care, the kind that actually makes you feel grounded, present, and connected to yourself, that comes from within. And that's exactly why I'm so excited for today's conversation. In this week's episode, I'm sitting down with Alyssa Booth, a licensed therapist and women's empowerment coach who has a passion for helping women find freedom with food and self acceptance. Alyssa has dedicated her career to guiding women and moms away from the pressure of perfectionism, people pleasing, and guilt around food and body image. Her approach is bold, compassionate, and completely judgment free. So you have a safe place to show up exactly as you are. With her background in trauma-informed therapy, Alyssa is all about moving beyond service level fixes and helping you embrace real lasting change. She is a fierce advocate for finding a deeper, kinder connection with yourself. And in this episode, she's sharing so many insights that'll help you step into a new level of self-care, the kind that actually honors what you need and helps you be fully present in your life, not stuck in guilt or overthinking. And when she's not coaching or presenting, you'll find Alyssa soaking up family time, loving on her animals, or baking some sourdough bread, which honestly sounds like a dream right now. This conversation is so relatable, so encouraging, and I cannot wait for you to hear it. So let's get into it. Hey, Alyssa, thank you for
Hi.
joining us today and giving us your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I mean, over here it's pretty dreary. So this is definitely a good start to the morning when it's like so cloudy and the sun's not out today.
Yeah, for sure. I know. With all the cold that's been happening, I was like really into the sunshine. And so now that it's cloudy, I'm sad again.
Oh, I know. I'm like, really? Because yesterday was so nice. And I don't know if you've seen, like, there's just been a real trend, I guess. And it's like, I wasn't sad. I just needed sunshine
Sunshine.
and an iced coffee or just things
Yeah.
like that. It's like, oh, I wasn't sad. I just needed to go hang out outside and barbecue.
Yeah. Put my feet in the grass.
Oh, yeah. So let's get started with this first question that I've been asking the guests for this special series, Love After Kids. And this question you chose is, in your experience, how can couples find balance between being great parents and great partners?
Yeah, no, I think that's such a great question. I can kind of talk about that for my personal experience and then kind of also my professional experience as well. I have two kids. My oldest is 13 and my
Mhm.
youngest is going to be 3 in a few months. And
Wow,
so I know, yeah, yes, big
that's
age
big.
gap. Yeah, so I'm like, I have a teenager and a three-nager, and it's a lot of fun over here in our house.
A
Um,
three-nager. I have one of those too.
oh yeah, he's very no is his favorite word, and he's kind of in the typical phase. And I think it's hard because I have this older kid who's, I mean, not like independent, but a lot more independent, and
Mhm.
so we're just kind of wrangling in our toddler all the time. And it's hard, right, to manage kids in any stage
Mhm.
and not only try to find yourself as an individual, but reconnect as a couple,
Yeah.
and make sure that you're taking care of your kids, but you're also taking care of yourself in the midst of all of the things. And so I think first and foremost, communication is key. I know that that's probably like an overused phrase, but it's overused because it's true, right? It's valid.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to communicate our needs with our partners, even with our kids, like being able to set boundaries and say, hey, mom and dad, or mom and mom, or
Mhm.
me, partner, whoever, right? We are
Yeah.
going to, have some time for ourselves because this is important too. So I think really just setting the tone early on. I think the other thing would be to set realistic expectations for yourself as
Yeah.
well, because my toddler is sometimes going to sleep super easy, easy breezy, no big deal. But then a few nights it's been, kind of difficult. It's taken like an hour or so to get him to go to sleep. And usually my husband and I will watch TV or hang out or whatever once he goes to sleep. And so it's hard sometimes to navigate that when
Mm,
it's like, hey, okay, we're going to hang out tonight. And it's like, just kidding. He's taking an hour and a
yeah.
half to go to sleep. And then he's exhausted and I'm exhausted and we're exhausted. But then just being able to set the intention to have some time together. Okay, so what's going on this weekend that we can intentionally plan, time to spend together, time to spend as a family, time to spend as individuals. It varies from household to household. It varies from person to person, depending on your needs. But I think that just being able to keep that at the forefront of your mind is like communication. What am I needing? What are we needing as a family? What would I like
Totally.
to have with my partner? And, doing the best that we can with where we are, our kids' needs, all of that, So I think if you can find that for yourself, I feel like you could be fairly successful, right? I mean, there's always ebbs and flows and we have to have
Oh, yeah.
flexibility. But yeah, fairly successful with that.
No, I feel like the communication piece, like, yes, it's talked about a lot, but I feel like it's not talked about enough. And I think that recently there's kind of been a shift, not just relationships, but in everything, to where it's about going back to basics. And I feel like when we talk about communication in our marriages and in our relationships, it really is like you have to have good communication, a good foundation in that before anything else can really flourish, because communication isn't just about talking, it's also about being able to listen. And when we
Hmm.
can listen, we can really hear what's going on for our partner and understand how things that we're doing or maybe not doing are affecting them. And so
Yeah,
I love that you brought up communication.
yeah, for sure. And I think that something that we also have to remember is that those conversations are ongoing and constant. I know for me, as someone who struggles with anxiety and all of these different things, like my husband understands, but he doesn't
Mhm.
until he's
Yeah.
stressed and he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm like, this is me all the time, like,
Yes.
welcome to my world.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, instead of me shutting down and saying, okay, I got this and I just need to like figure it out, which yes, I do, being able to be open and leaning in on my partner and saying, hey, like today I'm just really struggling and I need help and I need support, or I'm just going to go to Target and leave the house, or I'm going to go on a
Yeah.
walk, or you know what I mean? Because sometimes me just going and doing something for like an hour, can help me to regroup. But being able to really lean in and share the things that you need, especially if
Mhm.
you're in a situation where, you might be struggling with something or vice versa, right? And the partner, I mean, he doesn't deal with that on a day-to-day basis. So
Yeah.
sometimes it's not at the forefront of his mind. And so for me to be able to voice that, I think is also really helpful.
Mhm. No, absolutely. I mean, it even takes learning how to lean on your partner, and that can also help make the difference. That was something that I struggled with myself, is not that I couldn't trust my husband or that I couldn't lean on him, but I had been taught to just do everything myself, or you don't want to ever rely on a man yet.
Mhm.
You
Here you are
get
married to
married,
one.
right? Right? Like, never rely on a man, never put all your eggs in one basket. And that kind of messaging really affects you going into a marriage where it doesn't work unless you are leaning on each other and going to each other for support. So
Yeah.
I had to learn that personally, that I can't do it, or I shouldn't be the one.
Right.
I can, right? But
Yeah,
is that good for me? No. Is my
absolutely.
marriage going to be better if I can lean on my partner? Absolutely.
I feel that so much because my mom really wanted to raise my sister and I as independent women.
Mhm.
And we are. But it became this hyper independence where,
Yeah.
we gained strength in doing it all ourselves. And I was previously married, and in that relationship, I had to do it all myself. Like I didn't have a choice. I was kind of one of those like married single moms. And then I was a single
Mhm.
mom for a long time and working and balancing every single thing. So for a very long time, it was all on me. And when I married my husband now, I was like, oh, he wants to help, like he wants to do
Yeah.
these things, He made an appointment with my youngest, like, of course, chipped his tooth on New Year's Day. And so he like
Oh,
made an appointment with the dentist, like he called the dentist and he made an appointment with the
wow.
dentist. And growing up, I wasn't really around men or dads that took that initiative. And so even though like I know that he's there and supportive in all of the different things, I'm still like, oh yeah, he is there. You know, he is a good dad. He is involved. He does want to support me. And
Yeah.
so just that reminder that I can ask for help and that that's really what it is a partnership. And we share
Mhm.
the mental load of raising kids, the household chores, our finances, our jobs, our schedules, like everything, you know, is talked about, and sometimes a day-to-day basis because things are just crazy and chaotic. You know, for sure on a week to week basis, we talk about what we're going to do, who's going to cook dinner,
Mhm.
who's picking up the kids, you know, all these different things. And so it's been really good for me too, as time has gone on, you know, to be like, okay, I don't have to do all of the things because it's freaking
Yeah.
exhausting. I mean, no one wants to have to
Mhm.
do all of that.
Oh no. And I know like our moms came from really good places, right? They probably didn't have, and maybe it wasn't them, but like their own mothers probably didn't have the support that our partners are offering us today because things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
But that type of upbringing and like you have to be a strong independent woman doesn't mean you have to do everything on your own. Sure, maybe you want to know how to do everything on your own in
Right.
the event that you have to, but to come at things as like you're the only one who can do it and you should be the only one that can do it is only going to hurt us.
Absolutely. I agree. I think my mom definitely came from a great place. And I know she's really proud of my sister and I, and my brother too. I have a younger brother. But yeah, I think it's just one of those things where if you don't have to do it all on your own, you shouldn't. And it's okay to ask
Yeah.
for help. And I think too, even when I was a single mom and I had to kind of do all the things on my own, asking for help I think was hard because I felt like I kind of got myself into this position
Mm,
and you know whatever, and that was really
yeah.
challenging for me. And so if there's anyone listening that's a single mom and you don't have that partner, find your people because people do want to help. People really do want to help.
Mm, yeah. And they're not just being nice, offering the help. And if they are just being nice and you take their help, that's on them, not on
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
I also want to like really highlight, if it hasn't already been made clear, that you can still be a strong, independent woman and have support and ask for help.
Yeah. And I think that I've moved from a place of that hyper independence to the interdependent, and not
Mhm.
even just with my partner, but with my friends, with my community, with the people that are supporting me and being able to lean on them and, you
Yeah.
know, even just have more honest conversations about, hey, I'm struggling or I'm overwhelmed or I just need to vent and talk and,
Mhm.
you know, support in all the different ways from people, again, who are there to support you and want to support you. Let people support you.
Mhm. Yes. I had seen again another reel. It was this mom who was saying like yes, it takes a village, but it also takes us being good villagers
Mm-hmm.
for that to be possible. And I hadn't even thought about that, like what makes a good villager, and it's not just you offering the support, but are you also taking support from your village because you
Mm-hmm.
can't just be the only one, and you asking for help shows others that it's okay to ask for your support as well.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I feel like too, showing that for your kids is also really important. You
Mhm.
know, I work with a lot of moms who kind of have this like perfectionistic, people pleasing, you know, tendency. And it's really hard for them to ask for help or seek for help or say they're struggling or whatnot. And, you know, not that I'm trying to like guilt or shame anyone, but it's like your kids are also watching to see, like, hey,
Yeah.
mom seems to be doing it all and not asking for help, and whatever their perception of that is. And so being able to model that, I think, is also really important too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think we forget that our kids don't learn from what we tell them. They learn from what they watch us doing because that's what's happening most often is what we're doing and the habits that we're showing them.
Absolutely. I drink coffee every morning. I have to have my coffee, at least 2 cups. Everyone knows I have my coffee in the morning. And
Girl, I have mine right here.
oh yeah, girl, right here. I got it all the
Yeah.
time. And my toddler has been coming up and saying, I want coffee. I want coffee. because he sees me in the morning going to my Keurig, making my coffee every morning. And so he's been asking for coffee. And so I got these little hot chocolate pods for him so I could make him a hot chocolate so he can
Oh,
like do the
cute.
whole thing. And like in the work that I do, I teach a lot about body image and intuitive eating and all of those kinds of things. And to your point, I tell my clients, like, your kids are watching, right? Like, even
Mhm.
if you tell them, love your body, eat all foods, you're beautiful, all these things, like, they see how you treat yourself. They see what you're eating, how you're eating. They see how you're talking to yourself. They see you look
Mhm.
in the mirror and you're like, oh gosh, like I don't like how I look, right? And even if you don't say that out loud, they can see your facial expressions. They
Yeah.
can see that you feel disgusted and they internalize that. And again, it's monkey see, monkey do, right? Like they'll copy and be like, oh, well, that's what we do. And especially
Mhm.
if you're a mom with a daughter and they're watching you, and of course, right, this is all kind of generalized, but at a certain point in time, daughters kind of look up to their moms as role models and sons will look up to
Oh, yeah.
mothers if they're,
Absolutely.
if that's the dynamic in the house. But yeah, so I mean, I didn't even have to teach my kid to want coffee. He just did
Yeah.
because that's what I do. And he's around me. And so I feel like motherhood is kind of like a mirror to ourselves sometimes
Oh, yeah.
and kind of
Mhm.
shows some of the things that we either want to pass down to our kids or don't want to pass down to our kids. And I feel like for a lot of times with my clients, a lot of these things resurface after they
Mhm.
become moms, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I feel like sometimes you don't even realize you struggle with something until you become a mom, that it becomes like apparent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I used to, and this is with my oldest when he was younger, I guess I used to say damn it a lot. And then he started saying it and I was like, oh no, like he's listening, he's saying it. And
Oh,
then it made me
yeah.
realize how much I'm saying that word.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you had just talked about how you do a lot of work with body image. How do you think like body image plays in us connecting with our partner? So yeah, we're talking about moms, but this is also something that affects men as well, correct?
Yes, this is something that I think impacts, I want to say everyone, but almost everyone, right? So if it's not you, it's going to be your friend or your mom, or maybe even your daughter is struggling with body image, or maybe your partner or whoever. I think that we are all impacted in some way, shape, or form by a body image struggle.
Hmm. Yeah, and I unfortunately, yes, it does impact men, but for women, the standards that are put on us to look a certain way is far more, I don't know, ridiculous than what is put on men. Like, I mean, at one point, it was like they're talking about dad bods, right?
Right.
But
Yeah. Dad,
nowhere in the conversation was it okay for moms to have a mom bod.
yeah. No, dad bods are so great. And we love that dads were able to, birth their babies. Oh, wait, no, that wasn't them, right? You know what I mean? It's like that wasn't
Yeah.
them. And I think it's just so interesting because, we see that and we kind of laugh and make jokes, but then when we really think about it, it's like, no, that's horrible. And not to allow dad bods to exist because, bodies exist in all different shapes and
Yeah.
sizes, but I think it's the shame that moms
Mhm.
feel. It's the shame of our body changing and whether it be our weight changing or things are showing up in different places or things that were up here now down there, like all of the shifts in our body and changes that are really normal. These are normal changes. What I always tell my clients is that bodies will change. We know that bodies will change over the
Mhm.
course of time in your life. And so the fact that we are still fighting against that and seeing our body changing as like some sort of failure, I think really puts so much more stress on women who are already stressed out enough. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like I mentioned, we have soccer practice, soccer
Yeah.
games, band. My kid's not sleeping. I work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, now I have to worry about my legs having cellulite or my
Mhm.
stomach hanging over my pants a little bit more or whatever it is, And it's like that should be the least of our worries is those changes that happen naturally, our natural
Yeah.
body fluctuations through our lives.
Mhm. And I think what I hated the most about like the dad bod kind of, I don't know, wave. I don't even know what to call it. But it was almost like we're giving dads permission, right,
Mm-hmm.
to have this type of body. But women, no, 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 not you. Like you have to look perfect. Your body has to look a certain way for you to be accepted or for you to be acceptable wearing certain clothing.
Well, and I think it's even in the like what's not said too, because I think that, and especially like when we think of celebrities, right? Because these are the people that are most talked about. But, to celebrities that are like, oh, she doesn't even look like she had a baby. She's already back to her pre baby weight, or she's looking better than ever with two small children on her hips. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so it's not even that we're being told mom bods, quote unquote, are bad. It's that these other bodies that are more,
Mm-hmm.
societally and kind of like meet that standard are being celebrated and almost as like the ideal. And so
Mm-hmm.
then we look at our bodies and we're like, wow, well, I don't look like that, or my body doesn't look how it did before, or I'm holding on to this weight and it's not supposed to do that because, Jennifer Lopez's body didn't do that and she had twins or whatever it is,
Yeah.
whatever ridiculous thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's also just like what's not said. And then I think there's also the component of bounce back culture, losing your baby weight, getting back to pre pregnancy weight, toning your mom bod, right? Like there's a lot of health, quote unquote, health influencers, fitness influencers that target moms specifically for those changes in their bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I was doing a radio show for a little bit here locally. And I had quite a few people, and some were men and some were women, that asked the question of like, well, how do I approach my partner and let them know that I would want them to lose weight? Or how do I tell them that they need to better their health? And so what I usually said was, don't make it about the weight. Make it about your concern for their well-being, but don't bring up the weight. So I guess my question for you is, how would someone address that concern if it really was a concern about their health and not about their weight? I guess we can talk about both.
Yeah, I mean, the question that I would ask back is, are you concerned about their health all of the time or only when their body has gained weight and you don't like that? Is that the
Yeah.
only time you're concerned? Is when, you're uncomfortable that their body has changed? Because there's so much more to health than weight. Can weight, whether we gain weight or lose weight, be indicative that there is some sort of mental or physical health condition happening? Yes, right? We can't take that off the table. But if you're concerned about your partner, are you concerned about them all of the time? Because those are questions to me, if you're concerned about your partner, that should be happening in conversations on a day to day, week to week basis. Like, hey, how are you doing? I noticed that you haven't taken care of yourself, or that maybe you have seemed more depressed. And so, is there some way I can help you or support you? Or do we need to go to therapy? Or do we want to spend some more time together? Or do we want to go like on family walks so we're all getting outside and the kids can just go bonkers because they're bouncing off the walls in the house, right? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, are there concerns consistently, or is it I'm ignoring my partner and then all of a sudden I notice they gain weight and I don't like that. And so now I'm going to bring it up because all of a sudden I'm concerned. Because
Yeah.
then to me, it's not a partner and their weight issue, it's the other person's issue.
Mhm. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And how can weight impact someone in the bedroom intimately? Do you ever have clients who come in and their concern is like, it's hard for me to be intimate because I don't like the way that I look? And if so, what can they do to feel more confident in the body that they have now? Not to feel like, oh, I need to go make all these changes and change the way that
Mm-hmm.
my body looks.
Assuming the partner isn't one that is commenting on their weight and is supportive of the changes in body types, then I would say conversation and communication around it. And I would
Mhm.
also say going slow in intimacy and doing things that feel comfortable. Because I think the thing that happens too is that, when our body changes, we're still kind of trying to get used to it as well, And I kind of relate it to a haircut. So, like, I have really
Mm.
long hair, and if I were to cut, 12 inches off of my hair and have a bob haircut, I wouldn't know what the heck to do with it. You know what I mean? Like, I'd be like, okay, how do I style it? What do I like? How do I want to do my bangs? Can I put it up?
Mm.
Whatever, all these different things. And so we kind of have to get used to that change. And sometimes it takes a while. And the same with our body. Sometimes we have to do some of that body image work ourselves to feel okay in our right now body. And I think it's hard because we do have a lot of shaming messages, especially if we have
Mhm.
gained weight. And so, again, assuming that your partner is supportive and unconditionally loving you, then I think
Yeah.
that those conversations can be really helpful in the bedroom and kind of going slow and allowing your partner to feel attracted to you and be sexually attracted to you and
Mhm.
want to be intimate in that way. And also just giving yourself permission to enjoy pleasure because everybody should do that, right? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, so
Yeah.
I think that there can be many different ways to look at it. Now, if we have the partner that is potentially making comments about your body and your weight, we will close off, right? We will not feel emotionally or even physically, like we're talking about intimacy, we might not feel
Yeah.
safe with that partner. And so then that kind of opens a different can of worms and conversation. But I think I keep going back to
Yeah.
communication.
Yeah. I was about to say that. Yeah. Here we are back in like the communication piece because in order to have those conversations, you have to first be comfortable communicating
Mm-hmm.
that with your partner because that's really vulnerable to
Right.
come to your partner and say, I feel really uncomfortable in my body right now. I'm not used to me being this way physically. And it's
Mm-hmm.
scary because I sometimes think that maybe you don't want me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And allowing your partner to hopefully come and say like, no, you're beautiful and I love you the way you are, no matter what. Like you're the mother of our children and you went through this physical journey to not just create them, but to birth them as well and to nourish them with your body if you breastfed, right? And to comfort them and to
Mm-hmm.
give them this safe space to feel loved.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that there are lots of changes that happen in our body postpartum, but I think even just generally speaking, I'm a human and my body's going to change. So attraction can only take you so far, right?
Yeah.
And I really believe that if your partner is only focusing on the physical, attractive, whatever, and like not going deeper, I mean, I don't know. I mean, of course, I want my husband to be attracted to me, but I could lose all my hair
Oh, yeah.
or get burnt or whatever. You know what I mean? And like, I
Yeah.
don't want to talk about, but like
Mhm.
things can happen, outside of like my
Oh,
body
absolutely.
changing. And so your attraction and your connection and your intimacy with your partner hopefully should be so much deeper, right? Like you're
Mhm.
building a life together. You're raising a family together. Like you're going through the ups and downs together, right? You're experiencing really great times and going on vacations and having fun. You know what I mean? Like there's so much more to connection and love and relationships and intimacy and all of those different things. And so if you're focused solely on how my partner looks or doesn't look, then your partner probably needs to be in therapy or something to figure that out because there should be more
Yeah.
depth, as I guess what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah. Your relationship cannot be solely focused on the physical appearance of
Right,
you or your partner
right.
because like you said, looks do fade, our bodies change. And sure, there are things that you could do to kind of maybe slow the process, but ultimately, our bodies are going to change. We're not going to look the exact same in the future as we did when we met our partners
Yeah.
or when we first had that quote unquote spark, which I think is really just that attraction. It's not even about your connection to them. It's really just like how physically attracted I am to someone.
Right. And I always ask people, especially when they're struggling with body image, the question I'll always ask people is, why are you best friends with your best friend? So I'll ask you that question too. Why are you best friends with your best friend?
I'm best friends with my best friend because I feel comfortable talking to her, or I'll say them because I have a few. I
Hmm.
feel comfortable talking to them about things that I couldn't talk to anyone else about, like just things that pop up into my life or worries that I have. And they're also my best friends because we can have fun together doing whatever,
Hmm.
right? Like it doesn't have to be this ultimate vacation. We could have fun watching our kids run around and like get all dirty while we sit back, relax, and chat about what's been going on in our week. And that's always fun, even if our week has been boring. It's not about how we look.
Right.
Yeah.
And usually when I ask people that question, they say things like that because, we've gone through motherhood together and we've connected over
Mhm.
our kids and they're fun and they're funny and we like to go to the park and we like to go to girls nights or whatever, and it's never about, well, they're wearing the same jeans they did since high school and she drinks her green juice every day and has rock hard
Yeah.
abs. Like, we don't love people for those physical qualities. And if they have those qualities, then that's fine. But that's not why we love people and connect people and want to be with those people. And so
Mhm.
I think that that is the same in any relationship, right? I mean, and I wouldn't want someone to be friends with me because of my body. Like, that would be weird,
Yeah.
So I think
That would.
that,
Oh, she's so good looking. I want to be her friend. Like,
right, and I think we've also experienced maybe seeing someone who we thought was conventionally attractive and they did things that maybe were not so great, and we see them in a different way. Maybe we see them
oh,
as less
yes.
attractive, right? So I think that attraction is just so subjective, it is so
Mhm.
subjective. And so I think that when we can work on focusing on those deeper, more meaningful parts of our relationship and our partners and our kids and our friendships and all of those kinds of things, then we'll see the beauty in them, right? The
Mhm.
beauty doesn't have to be, oh, they're six pack abs and, she looks flawless and doesn't have any pores and like no wrinkles or whatever, like I see people's beauty in who they are, in their vulnerabilities, in the light that they bring into the world, things
Yeah.
that people are really interested in. I'm like, that is so cool. Like, I love this about you. You know what I mean? Like, we
Mhm.
see that in other people all the time, and we don't see it in ourselves. And I think that's a shame.
Yeah, it really is. And if someone is struggling with their body image, what are some things that they can start doing now to kind of help with that? Like, we know, well, I don't know, maybe people don't know that an option is to work with a therapist and go to therapy, that is something that they can actually turn to a therapist for.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I work with clients on body image in both my therapy practice and my coaching practice. And I think something to remember is that having a healthy relationship with your body isn't necessarily looking at your body and being like, I love every single thing about my body, right? It's more about appreciating your body and getting to a place where you see yourself as more than your body, right? Just like
Mhm.
we talked about the characteristics of like our friends or even our partners or whatever. It's more about, I see myself as more than what I look like. I see myself as more than what people think about how I look. Like, if someone doesn't like how I look, then don't look at me. Don't look at
Yeah.
me, right? I mean, if you want to look at me and judge me, that is fine. That is your choice. But it's not going to impact me because I am not living for that other person. And I have people that I know love and care about me in all the ways that my body has changed over the course of my life, because it has.
Mhm.
And I think when we see ourselves as more than our body, we start to have an appreciation for our body. And we don't let our body stop us from showing up and living our lives the way that we want to, So when I go to the
Mhm.
beach with my kids, I want to be going and getting in the water and chasing the seagulls and building the sand castle or whatever. I don't want to be hiding because I don't like the way my body looks or whatever. So being able to really fully participate in your life the way that you want to.
Mm. Oh, I love that. Being able to fully participate in your life the way you want to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that does mean, taking care of your body to an extent. And I will say sometimes we do have to deal with physical things or mental things or whatever. And so I think that journey looks different for everyone. That's why, I mean, of course, as therapists, we say go to therapy, right? But I really do believe in getting that support. And if you're someone who's like, man, like I really struggle with this, I want you to know you don't have to struggle with it forever. This
Mm.
doesn't have to be a lifelong struggle just because this is, like we talked about at the beginning of this episode, lots of people, lots of women especially, struggle with their bodies. And so
Yeah.
just because it's normal doesn't mean you have to do this for the rest of your life and you have to be at war with your body for the rest of your life.
Yeah. And since this is something that you specialize working in, what are ways that you work with the clients that work with you? Because you said you have your therapy practice and you have your coaching side. Do you want to talk a little bit about like what the coaching side looks like?
Yeah, so usually I find that women who struggle with body image also struggle somewhat with their relationship with food. So whether you've dieted or are dieting or, struggle with emotional eating and all of these different things, I feel like it's all kind of intertwined. And so what I like to do is one, help women to reconnect to their body and build trust with their bodies and
Mm.
know their bodies. So for my last pregnancy, I went through IVF. Um,
Okay.
I learned so much more about my body. I thought I knew women's health. And then I went through IVF and I was like, oh my gosh, like there is so
Wow.
much
Yeah.
about women's bodies that I did not know. And so I'm very thankful for that experience because I got to know my body on a much deeper level than I had before. And so, really knowing your body and trusting your body is incredibly important. Deconstructing the belief that you need to be constantly shrinking your body in order to
Mhm.
feel worthy, I think is another thing that I do. So with that, we look at, messages from growing up. So a lot of times, my clients had a dieting mom, and maybe that was one way that they bonded with each other is like, we're going to go on this diet together.
Mhm.
Or maybe they were told that they needed to lose weight at a young age, or maybe they were bullied for their body, or an ex-boyfriend or whatever told them that they needed to lose weight, or all of these different things coupled with society, right? As we talked about, like the mom bods versus the dad bods, and like age backward and be
Yeah.
flawless, and like all of those different messages. And so we also work on just kind of deconstructing those things as well. Then I really work on helping women to connect to their values to build meaning in their life, right? So if we're not focusing on my looks, determine my worth, or what it says on the
Mhm.
scale determines my worth, it's how I want to live my life and how I want to show up in life and engage in the things and participate in the things that are really important and meaningful for me. So, what are you doing that brings you so much joy that you like forget about what your body looks like?
Mm.
So finding things like that, and not that we're always going to forget about what our body looks like again, because some people do have some sort of limitation or things that they need to take
Yeah.
into consideration, but essentially, like, what is it that actually brings you joy,
Mhm.
and engaging in those things. And then with everyone, I think boundaries are so incredibly important. So I love to help women set boundaries. A lot of times, the women I work with, again, are like those perfectionistic, people pleasing, care about everyone's feeling impact.
Yeah.
And so helping them to channel that in the right ways where it's, being more fulfilling than it is depleting and draining. And I call my coaching like empowered mind and body coaching, because I do want you to
Mhm.
feel empowered in the way you think about yourself and how you show up and in your body, and feeling connected, so you can really take care of yourself from a place of like authenticity and agency and autonomy, instead of doing all these things that all these people are telling you to do on the internet in order to lose the weight, or don't look like a mother, color your hair, do all these different things,
Yeah.
where it doesn't feel like you're a robot trying to just be like, okay, well, what is this person saying? What is this person saying? What is this
Oh,
person
yeah.
saying? And really being to say, well, what do I say? What do I want to do?
Mhm.
How do I want to live my life? How do I want to show up?
Oh, yeah. If you haven't already kind of decided what you want for yourself, there are so many people trying to tell you how you should live your life, what you should look like, what you should be eating, what you should be doing with your free time. It can be so confusing, and that in itself is exhausting, and you don't need any more things
Yeah.
draining your energy because motherhood is already enough.
It is. It really is. And a lot of times people will say, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. And we absolutely do not. No, we don't. No, we don't. We
No.
absolutely don't. And especially my 24 hours now looked different than my 24 hours when I was 6 months postpartum. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And for the whole first year of my youngest son's life, he was not sleeping through the night. And I
Mm.
had a really hard time sleeping. So even as much as I did want to, exercise and whatever, I was freaking tired. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to do what I can when I get sleep and when I feel energized. I'll do some movement, but I could not do the consistent movement that I really wanted to do because I was so tired. And
Mm.
I think when we honor those seasons of life that we are in, instead of pushing ourselves to wake up at 5 a.m. so that way we can go do our HIIT workout and then we can drink our green juice and then we can meditate and then we can take a cold plunge and then we can get ready for the day because getting ready for the day makes you feel like you can actually do more. And then we do our chores and then we do all of those things before our kids wake up. And it's like, no. And if that's something that you do, that is fine. There's nothing wrong with doing that. But is that realistic? Is it bringing you joy? Is it something that is really fulfilling and meaningful in your life? Or is it just another should that you're doing that's causing more stress? And by the way, stress is bad for everyone. So, like, stress
Yeah.
will literally, we can do a whole thing on stress, but you don't want to be more stressed than you already are.
No, no, absolutely not. Well, we could probably keep on talking for a whole nother hour. But I just want to thank you so much, Alyssa, for giving us your time today. And if someone's listening and they're like, I really want to work with her, or I want to like find more information about Alyssa, where is the best way to get into your world and to contact you to get more information about you and your work?
Yeah, I am most active on my Instagram. It's Alyssa Booth _ LPC. I have a lot of content on there. I also have a free Facebook group that you can access.
We'll
Sorry.
link it in the show notes.
But if you go to
Yeah.
my website, you'll be able to see all of the free resources there. You can book a free call with me. And then there is the link to join the Facebook group as well.
Okay, cool. And then we'll definitely get all of that linked up in the show notes. So if you're listening, you can just click down to the show notes and access all of that really quick. But thank you again. And I hope you have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you. You too.